Hey everyone, Dija Henry here, and you're watching Inspired Cafe. It's still cold where I'm living. In fact, it's still snowing a whole lot. But today I have a fun DIY for you. I'm going to show you how to make a beanie, poncho, fingerless gloves, and leg warmers, all from one sweater. The first thing you want to do is get a large sweater. I got mine from Goodwill for like $2 from the 50% off rack. Oh yeah. So first we're going to measure the width of the beanie, which is going to be 12 inches. The height of the beanie will also be 12 inches. And the opening of the beanie is going to be 8 inches. And the opening is going to be down by the bottom of the sweater where there's already a seam sewn there. I'm simply centering the measurements on the sweater so that when I cut it, I'm not cutting into the edge of the sweater. So I'm just kind of moving the opening over a little bit and making sure it's lining up with the height and the width of the sweater. So after I make the markings, I'm going to freehand draw the shape of the beanie. And don't worry if it's not completely perfect. It's going to be a slouchy beanie, so no one's going to notice. So here I'm simply cutting out the shape that I drew. And then once that's cut out, I'm just going to clean up the edges a little bit because you could see I drew it kind of lopsided and then cut it out kind of lopsided. Now you can attach it with fabric glue, but I ran out, so I'm going to sew it. So what I'm doing is pinning the right sides together, and then I'm simply going to sew around the edges. Now this is going to keep it from fraying. If you glue it, you might have to use a type of glue to keep it from fraying. And sewing, you're going to fold it in half so that the seams are touching, and then you're simply going to sew across the top to create that X look in the top of the beanie so that it can fall really naturally in the back. You're going to flip it inside out, and then you're going to stick it on your head. So here's the finished product. I really like it, and it's super warm. I hope you guys like it, and it's pretty easy to make. We're going to move on to making the leg warmers. Now I want to say I actually had enough material left to make a second beanie for my daughter, so that was pretty cool. So onto the leg warmers. What you're going to do is make the leg warmers out of the sleeves. So yes, I did lay myself down next to the sleeve and measure how long my leg was. After you do that, you want to fold the sleeves in half so they're laying on top of each other. Mark the measurement that you want the leg warmers to be at, and then you can cut them. You can purchase something to put around the edges to keep them from fraying, but I simply just folded mine inside out and sewed around the opening to keep them from fraying. And here's what the final look looks like. We're gonna move on to making the poncho. Now I'll be honest, when I'm looking back at this video, I'm thinking maybe I could have just made it like a cropped sweater, but I made it into a poncho. So I'd really like your guys' feedback in the comment box below whether or not I should have just made it a cropped sweater or if the poncho looks okay. What I did here was cut off the sleeve, preserving the little ruffle at the top because I thought it was so cute. I folded it in half and then I cut off the other side, and this is what it looks like. Already inside out, I simply laid the sweater down and folded up the edges and pinned them in place so that I could sew around, creating a neater hem at the bottom. After sewing the bottom hem, I went ahead and just sewed the sleeves shut. Here it is, I just turned it inside out, and this is what the poncho looks like. You can also just gather it up and use it as an infinity scarf as well. So guys, let me know what you think. If you think the poncho worked or if I should have just turned it into a cropped sweater. Move on to the fingerless gloves. Remember the pieces that we used when we cut off the sleeves for the poncho? Well, I'm going to use those to make the fingerless gloves. So the first thing I did was measure the width of my hand from my pinky to the joint of my thumb. I simply cut off the remaining fabric and then evened out the bottom since it was originally cut at a diagonal. To create the opening for my thumb, I took my Sharpie and just made a marking around my thumb so I knew where to not sew. So just to let you know, these fingerless gloves are going to have a little bit of a rustic look, which I'm totally fine with. So what I did was I sewed down all the way to the first marking for the thumb opening, and then I went ahead and started from the bottom marking and sewed all the way down and finished going to the bottom. You can simply add some fabric fray glue from the store, or what I did was simply fold back the fabric around the thumb opening and I just sewed a simple line around it. Now here I just turned it inside out and this is what it looked like. So here are the final results for the fingerless gloves. They're actually really warm. And here's everything with the beanie, the gloves, the scarf / poncho. I hope that you liked this tutorial. I hope that you found it helpful to think of some creative ways to use a sweater. So in reality, I got 2 beanies, a poncho, and fingerless gloves and leg warmers from this one sweater. It made me kind of feel like the Native Americans when they tried to use all parts of the animal to their benefit. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe and don't forget to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest. You can also follow my blog at theinspiredcafe.com for more inspiration and DIY projects. I'll talk to you guys later. Have a wonderful rest of your day.